There's a problem with Dior fragrances right now because people have noticed that something weird is going on with them, but I think I know what's happening. Francis Kurkdjian is the relatively new head of fragrances at Dior, and I think he's inherited a bit of an issue. Sauvage has been a big moneymaker for Dior, but the problem is that they're part of LVMH, which is publicly traded, and that kind of company always has pressure from its shareholders to grow. So Dior is looking for their next fragrance hit, and that's where their Dior Homme line comes in. Dior Homme already has good name recognition, and it's pretty common for a designer brand to have the Homme or For Men line be part of their mainstream fragrances. But that's where the opportunity is because Sauvage is kind of plateauing, so they need to take the Dior Homme line in a more mainstream mass appeal direction. And something really important has changed now, and it's that designer brands like Dior and YSL have had a lot of success with their private fragrance lines. So I think that Francis Kurkdjian has been tasked by Dior with making the Dior Homme line mainstream and a big hit, and then moving their more avant-garde and interesting options into the private line. These mainline designer fragrances are expensive for brands to do because they have custom bottles and they have big ad campaigns, so you need to sell a lot of volume to make them work. So making your For Men fragrance a bit polarizing and artistic is pretty risky, but you can do that more easily in the private line. That's because it has things like uniform bottles that reduces your development costs, and they don't have to advertise as much because it attracts a more discerning consumer that will show up to sample the whole line instead of having to do big advertising campaigns for each new fragrance. So I think right now Kurkdjian is focusing on cleaning up all the wonkiness in the Dior fragrance lines, and that later we'll see much more creativity from him, but in the private line where it's safer to experiment.